Today topic of discussion is iron metabolism. Iron is a trace element because requirement of iron less than 100 mg per day. Total iron content in the body 3 to 5 gram. Of this 75% of iron presented in hemoglobin. So iron is important constituent of hemoglobin. Other proteins which containing irons, they are myoglobin, cytochrome, iron sulfur protein, cytochrome P450, some enzyme that include catalase, peroxidase, xanthine oxidase, tryptophan, pyrroline. Some of these important component which containing iron. Now coming important functions of iron related to this component, and it is presented in hemoglobin. The main role of iron in our body: transport oxygen to the tissue, and carbon dioxide to the lungs. That main functions of iron: transport oxygen to the tissue and carbon dioxide to the lungs. This is the important functions of iron in our body. Apart from that, myoglobin to supply oxygen to the cells. So this myoglobin, it is the important constituent. Then cytochrome and iron sulfur. These are the two things involved in cellular respiration. That means that electron transport chain. Then cytochrome 450 involved in detoxification process. Catalase and peroxidase, they are important antioxidant. Then xanthine oxidase and tryptophan proline. Xanthine oxidase involved in purine degradation. Then tryptophan proline involved in tryptophan metabolism. So these are the important functions of iron: transport oxygen to tissue and carbon dioxide to the lungs. Then apart from this component, myoglobin, cytochrome, iron sulfur, cytochrome P450, catalase, peroxidase, xanthine oxidase and tryptophan pyrroline. Important sources: green leafy vegetables, pulses, cereals, liver, meat, jaggery, dry fruits, beetroot, and milk containing trace amount of iron. Now coming to absorption, transport and storage of iron. What are the factors increasing iron absorption? Vitamin C, gastric HCl, small peptide and cysteine. What are the factors decreasing iron absorptions? Phytate, oxalate, phosphate and lead. So here iron presented in food. Iron presented in food in the ferric form. It is converted into ferrous form. This ferrous form get absorbed into intestinal mucosal cell. It will absorb into intestinal mucosal cell with the help of protein. That name of the protein, divalent metal transporter 1. So with the help of protein divalent metal transporter 1 absorbed by intestinal mucosal cell. With the help of protein, iron get absorbed into the intestinal mucosal cell, and this intestinal mucosal cell This iron is converted into ferric form with the help of enzyme peroxidase. Converted into ferric form with the help of enzyme peroxidase, and it gets stored in intramuscular cells. It will get stored in intramuscular cells as ferritin. This ferritin is the storage form of iron in intramuscular cells, liver, spleen, bone marrow. Now this ferric form with the help of ferrous reductase. Ferrous reductase, it will converted into ferrous form and transported out of intestinal mucosal cell with the help of protein known as ferroprotein. It is presented in plasma. In plasma, this ferrous is converted into ferric form with the help of enzyme ceruloplasmin. This ceruloplasmin has peroxidase activity. Now this condense with afotransferrin and it is converted into transferrin. So this one is a transported form of iron in the blood and plasma. Now this transferrin utilized for energy in the enzyme cytochrome 450, then hemoglobin and myoglobin. Remaining part of iron stored in liver, bone marrow and spleen in the form of ferritin, and also stored in the form of iron hemosiderin. Ferritin and hemosiderin, these are the storage form. This transferrin is the transport form. So summary of absorption, transport and storage of iron. Food presented in iron in the form of ferric form. Ferric form is converted into ferrous form. This ferrous form get absorbed into this intestinal mucosal cell with the help of protein. The protein name is called as DMT1. That means divalent metal transporter 1. With the help of protein, iron get absorbed into this intestinal mucosal cell. Intestinal mucosal cell, iron is converted into ferric form with the help of enzyme peroxidase. This one is the stored in intestinal mucosal cell as ferritin. Okay, this one is the storage form, ferritin. It is the storage form of iron, storage form. Iron in intestinal mucosal cell, liver, spleen and bone marrow. Now this ferric form with the help of enzyme ferroreductase, it will converted into ferrous form and transported into this intestinal mucosal cell with the help of ferroprotein. Now it is presented in plasma. This one presented in plasma. Now this ferrous form, this ferrous form with the help of ceruloplasmin, it will converted into ferric form. Then it will transported to afotransferrin. Then it will converted into transferrin. It is the transport iron in the blood and plasma. Now this transferrin utilized the enzyme cytochrome 450, hemoglobin and myoglobin. So remaining part stored in our liver, bone marrow and spleen. Next, regulation of iron level is done at the level of mucosa. So here regulation of iron level is done at the level of mucosa, that is known as mucosal block theory. So this one, regulation of iron level in turn at the level of mucosa. So this one have that name is also known as mucosal block theory. When demand increases, absorption increases. When demand decreases, absorption is also decreases in mucosal level. That's why it is known as mucosal block theory. And hepcidin, it is a protein which down regulate the level of divalent metal transporter 1 and ferroprotein. Iron is one-way substance. This iron is the one-way substances or element because very less excretion of iron to the bile, sweat and hair loss. Less than 1 mg per day iron excreted in our body. That's why it is known as one-way substance. It utilized and reutilized again and again. Next, deficiency or disorder, important disease. In developing countries, iron deficiency, anemia. It include increasing demand and decrease intake and chronic blood loss. Then lead causes iron deficiency. Important cause of iron deficiency is repeated pregnancy. Two important symptoms is there, apathy and anemia. Microcytic hypochromatic anemia. Then laboratory diagnosis, serum level decreases in iron deficiency anemia. Total iron binding capacity which is nearly about 400 microgram per deciliter. That means iron bind with transferrin 250 microliter per microgram per deciliter. So this total iron binding capacity increases, iron deficiency anemia also increases. In hemoglobin, male 14 to 16 gram per deciliter, female 13 to 15 gram per deciliter. So HP level also decreases. General protein investigation. Then excess of iron, it will causes two important disease. One is hemosiderosis. Here increasing absorption of iron. This one found in Pontu tribes. Pontu tribes of South Africa, that is known as Pontu siderosis. Then second one is hemochromatosis. Excess iron deposited in skin, bone marrow, liver and spleen. So deposition under the skin, it gives yellow to brown color. That is known as transcoloration of in the skin. The combination of hemochromatin and diabetes mellitus and cirrhosis is known as Francis diabetes. So this is all about iron.